This is 6 Minute English from bbclearningenglish.com.
Hello and welcome to 6 Minute English. I'm Callum Robertson and joining me today is Kate. Hello, Kate.
Hello, Callum.
Now, Kate, something which we both have in common is that we're both Scottish, though you couldn't tell from my accent. And today's programme is all about what is perhaps the most famous mystery associated with Scotland. What do you think that is?
Well, let me think. Is it perhaps Nessie, the Loch Ness monster?
Yes, it is indeed. Now, what is Loch Ness, Kate?
Well, Loch Ness is a lake called Ness, Loch Ness, and Loch is the Scottish word for lake.
We'll hear more about the Loch and the monster shortly, but first our question, which should be an easy one for you, Kate, I think. Loch is the Scottish word for lake, but what is the Scottish word dreich used to describe? Is it A, cold wet weather, B, deep dark water, or C, deep soft snow?
Well, I know this one. I love this word, dreich. It means A, cold wet weather.
We'll find out if you're right later in the programme. Now, back to Loch Ness. Could you tell us a bit more about it?
Well, Loch Ness is a very big loch. It's about 37 kilometres long and holds the largest amount of water of any lake in the UK. The water is very deep and very dark, and it's also known as the home of the Loch Ness monster.
When did all this talk of a monster in the loch begin? Let's listen now to part of a report about new information which has been revealed regarding the monster. Listen out for this information. When did the legend start, and when did it become world famous? Here's the BBC's Colin Blaine.
The legend of the Loch Ness Monster goes back more than 1,000 years, but the story attracted worldwide attention in the 1930s, after a Scottish newspaper reported the beast had been seen crossing the road.
So, Kate, when did the legend begin, and when did it become known around the world?
Well, apparently the legend began over 1,000 years ago, but it's really been since the 1930s that the modern legend has developed.
Let's listen again to Colin Blaine. And what other word does he use to describe the monster? And what happened in the 1930s to make the legend internationally known?
The legend of the Loch Ness Monster goes back more than 1,000 years, but the story attracted worldwide attention in the 1930s, after a Scottish newspaper reported the beast had been seen crossing the road.
So, Kate, what word did he use for the monster?
He called it the beast.
And how did the modern legend start back in the 1930s?
Well, he said that there was a report in a newspaper that the beast had been seen crossing the road.
It seems such a bizarre thing for the monster to be crossing the road like a pedestrian, doesn't it?
I know, I always thought it was a bit bigger than that.
Now, have you ever been to Loch Ness? And if you have you seen the monster?
I have been to Loch Ness, but unfortunately I've never seen the monster. I think I stood looking for it for about half an hour once, but that was it. No luck.
No, I mean, I've been there a couple of times and I've looked across the water. Again, nothing. My feeling is that it's a bit of a myth, and I think these days it's considered by many people really just to be a legend, something for the tourists. But back in the 1930s, even the police thought it was real. Here's more of the report from Colin Blaine talking about new information that's been revealed. What was the police chief worried about? And we also hear another word to refer to the monster, not beast. What is it?
Even the local police chief took the monster seriously. He expressed concern about a hunting party led by Peter Kent from London, who planned to tackle the monster with a harpoon gun. In an official letter from 1938, Chief Constable William Fraser said the creature should be preserved.
So what was the police chief worried about, Kate?
Well, the report said that he expressed concern about, which means he was worried about, a hunting party. That's a group of people who were from London who were coming to hunt for the monster.
And what other word did we hear for the monster?
Colin Blaine used the word creature. He reported that Chief Constable William Fraser said the creature should be preserved, which means it should be protected.
So we've got monster, and we've got beast, and we've got creature, all referring to the same thing there.
Yeah.
Let's listen again.
Even the local police chief took the monster seriously. He expressed concern about a hunting party led by Peter Kent from London, who planned to tackle the monster with a harpoon gun. In an official letter from 1938, Chief Constable William Fraser said the creature should be preserved.
Well, the monster has been preserved. At least, it's never been caught. Could that be because it doesn't exist? Or because the waters of Loch Ness are so deep and dark that Nessie remains hidden? Perhaps we'll never know. Anyway, that's about all we have time for in this week's programme. Time, though, to give the answer to this week's question, which was, what is the Scottish word dreich used to describe? Kate, you said?
I said A, cold, wet weather.
And indeed, that, of course, is the right answer. It is a great word. It's a lovely word.
And it perfectly describes the weather in Scotland for most of the year, I'd say.
Well, that's all from today's programme, but do join us next time for another 6 Minute English. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That was 6 Minute English from BBC Learning English.